The Cleveland Browns are coming off a huge win over the Pittsburgh Steelers, 13-10. And now the Browns moved to a record of 7-3 and are now second in the AFC North. This was a very ugly game, but the Browns came through and still won. And in this game, the Browns defense carried them. Their defense shut the Steelers out in the first half and only gave up 10 points in the second half. And late in the fourth quarter, their defense came up with a huge stop and forcing a 3-and-out with just a 14-second drive. And all game long, the defensive line kept getting a lot of pressure. And Shelby Harris had a very nice game with 2 pass deflections. And Myles Garrett had a huge game with 2 sacks. And now that puts him at 13 sacks on the season. In the last 5 games, Myles Garrett has 7.5 sacks. And right now, he is on pace for 22 sacks. And he could very well break the single-season sack record. But the offense was horrible. They just could not get the run game going. As a team, they had 29 carries for 96 yards and a touchdown. And Dorian Thompson-Robinson, in his second career start, struggled a lot. He was 24-43 passing, 165 yards, and an interception. And I personally hated the play calls by Kevin Stefanski. He kept running a bunch of screen passes, and they all were going for negative yards. If the Browns are going to go far in the playoffs, they need to sign a quarterback. I know they worked out Joe Flacco, and I think that would be a perfect fit for the Browns. And just last season, Joe Flacco threw for 4 touchdowns against the Browns when he was on the Jets. And if the Browns do sign Flacco, that will allow the offense to open up the pass game a lot more and not just rely on the run game. But in this game, the Browns punted on their opening drive and had a great punt, pinning the Steelers inside the 5. And on the Steelers' first play of the game, Myles Garrett came up with a huge sack that should have been a safety because Kenny Pickett was halfway into the end zone. And if the Browns challenged the play, it probably would have been a safety. And in the end, that could have cost us the game. But luckily, the Browns now have a great kicker with Dustin Hopkins, and today he was 2 for 2 on field goal attempts. And his second field goal of today was another game winner. And also in this game, Elijah Moore had his best game as a Cleveland Brown. He had 6 receptions for 60 yards. And now looking at the playoff standings, the Browns are right now the 5th seed, and 6th is the Houston Texans with a record of 6-4. And behind them in the 7th seed is the Steelers. And the Browns are currently just 1 win behind the Baltimore Ravens for first in the AFC North. This division is very close, and it could possibly come down to the last week of the season. And now, that Week 16 matchup versus the Texans could have huge playoff implications. And next week for the Browns, they play the Denver Broncos, and that should be a win for the Browns. But the Broncos have been playing very good of late. But even though this game was very ugly, the Browns still won and are now 7-3. So thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Goodbye.